At my mom's funeral, I overheard my brother whisper to my wife, "Now that he's the sole heir, just keep playing nice until he signs the house over." She nodded and took my hand like nothing happened. I said nothing. A month later, they both showed up to an empty lot and a sold sign. I watched from the car across the street. They still don't know where I went. You ever have a moment where your entire reality just detaches? Like gravity unplugs for a second and you're just floating completely numb? That was me. Standing 3 feet from my mother's casket, surrounded by flowers she hated and people pretending to cry, when I heard my brother say those words. Now that he's the sole heir, just keep playing nice until he signs the house over. And then, the worst part, my wife, nodding like she was in on some plan I was too stupid to see. Then she turned to me, eyes glassy and fake sad, and took my hand like I was her whole world. I didn't say a word, didn't even blink, just stood there, swallowing a scream and forcing a nod at the next distant cousin who came up to say Mom was in a better place. Yeah, well, I wasn't. That night, I stared at the ceiling until dawn, pretending to sleep beside the woman I now knew was acting. I kept replaying it, those 9 words. They were whispered like a secret between conspirators. My brother, Derek, had always been the charming one, the manipulator. Our mom adored him. Of course she'd leave the house to me, her way of balancing the scales. I didn't ask for it. Hell, I didn't even want it. But hearing them plot to steal it from under me, that flipped a switch I didn't know I had. I played along. For 30 days, I acted like the perfect grieving husband. I let her cry into my chest and stroke my hair. I let Derek come over with paperwork to help me sort things out. I listened to them dance around the topic of easing the burden of the property and keeping it in the family. I smiled. I nodded. I let them think they were winning. Meanwhile, I was talking to lawyers. See, what they didn't know is that Mom didn't just leave me the house. She left me the land it sat on, plus the adjacent lot she bought a decade ago during a foreclosure slump. That old craftsman-style home everyone thought was worthless? Zoned commercial. Hidden gem. And I had power of sale. So while Derek was laying the groundwork and my wife was whispering about how we could finally travel more if we downsized, I was gutting the place. Quietly, discreetly. I hired a team out-of-state guys who specialized in discreet deconstruction. We trucked things out at night. I staged the home to look occupied in the day, lights on timers and all. And then 2 weeks ago I sold it. Cash offer. Private investor. No MLS listing, no for sale sign until it was already a done deal. I didn't even leave a key behind. I watched it all happen from the window of the car. Derek showed up first. Drove up in his new leased Tesla. Guess he was pre-spending the windfall. He got out, looked confused. Circled the property. Then my wife pulled up in her SUV. She got out in heels, holding a leather folder. Probably the fake transfer forms they wanted me to sign. They stood there for 10 minutes. I saw my wife pull out her phone. Then Derek pointed at the sign. Sold. She looked up at the windows, probably thinking I was inside, probably thinking I was just being petty. Then they walked to the door, knocked. Nothing. They circled the house again, talking fast now. Derek kicked the porch railing. She dialed her phone. I watched my own name pop up on the screen in her hand. I let it ring. Then I walked away. I drove south, turned my phone off, rented a short-term spot under a fake name. I watched their calls pile up through my second phone. My brother's texts went from, "Hey bro, just checking in," to "WTF is going on?" to "Call me right now or I swear," and then silence. My wife's messages were worse. Guilt-laced at first, then desperate. Then came the fake sweetness. "I just want to talk. We can work through this. I love you." Then the rage. But I didn't respond. Not once. Because the thing about betrayal is it doesn't just crack your heart. It rewrites every memory, every laugh you shared, every promise whispered in the dark. Suddenly, it all feels tainted. And I refuse to let them rewrite my story. Edit 1. Yes, the sale was legal. I had full rights. The buyer paid a premium for the speed and discretion. No regrets. No, I haven't filed for divorce yet. I'm letting her sweat. She thinks I'll come crawling back. Let her keep thinking that. And Derek? Last I heard, he tried to claim fraud to the buyer. Didn't go well. You can't accuse someone of stealing something they legally owned while you were trying to steal it yourself. Edit 2. I've had people asking, where did I go? Let's just say I'm in a city where no one knows my name, sipping overpriced coffee in a place with good Wi-Fi and better peace of mind. They still don't know where I am. and I'm keeping it that way. Update 1. So, remember how I said they filed something in court? Yeah. Buckle up. About a week after they found the house gone, a legal notice was sent to my last known address, aka the house I no longer owned. Luckily, I'd prepped for that. My lawyer got the mail redirected, and that's how I learned Derek was suing me. His claim? That I sold shared family property without notifying concerned parties, and that I had no right to do it while mentally compromised due to grief. He's arguing I wasn't of sound mind, that the house was essentially communal family legacy property, and that I acted recklessly. Oh, and guess who submitted a supporting statement? My wife, the same woman who, 3 weeks earlier, was whispering lies and plotting with my brother. In her statement, she said I'd become paranoid and erratic after the funeral, accused me of irrational financial decisions, and even hinted that I'd been unwell for years. She mentioned that she had serious concerns for my mental health and was afraid for his safety. I don't know what hurt more, that she weaponized the worst days of my grief, or that she was so confident I'd stay silent while they pulled this off. But here's where the universe finally handed me something back. Enter the email. She sent it to Derek, but CC'd me by accident. Same name, autofill mistake, I guess. Subject: he's off the grid. Keep pressure on the lawyer. Body: he still hasn't responded. Either he's planning something or he's breaking down like we hoped. If we can push through the restraining order angle, we might freeze access to the joint account. I'll keep playing the worried wife. Don't text, only use this email. Yup, she laid it all out. In writing. My lawyer nearly choked laughing. He printed the email, flagged it, and attached it to our formal response. That whole concerned for his well-being argument? Torpedoed. But we weren't done. See, she mentioned a joint account. I hadn't used that account in months. We'd mostly kept separate finances, and I stopped depositing money there after I overheard the funeral conversation. But it still existed. So I had the bank run a statement. Turns out, $18,932.15 was transferred out in a single day, 2 days after I disappeared. Labeled, Household Relocation Fund. It went straight to an account in Derek's name. You can't make this up. She was funneling money while pretending I was emotionally unfit. And Derek? He was setting the stage to claim part of the home sale by any legal angle he could dig up. So here's what I did. I didn't call her, didn't text Derek, just had my lawyer file a counterclaim. Included. The email, yes. I printed it on glossy paper for dramatic effect. The audio recording of the funeral whisper, surprise. I had a mic on me that day, recording tributes from guests. The mic caught everything. Bank statements, copies of the title and zoning approvals showing I had full ownership and legal right to sell. We asked for a dismissal of their claim, a formal restraining order against financial interference, and, just to twist the knife, a fraud investigation into the joint account activity. I didn't hear from them for 3 days. Then I got another email, this time from her. Subject: please, just talk to me. Body: I didn't mean for it to go this far. Derek convinced me. I thought we could use the money to start fresh like you always talked about. I was scared, okay? Scared you were going to give it all away or disappear. I still love you. No apology. No ownership. Just fear now that the plan is unraveling. I didn't reply. Instead, I forwarded it to my lawyer and blocked her email. Then I went to the beach. Had a drink. Slept better than I had in weeks. Edit: yes, we're pursuing fraud charges. No, I don't plan on taking her back. And Derek? He tried to call me 6 times yesterday. I'm letting them both drown in the silence they tried to bury me with. Update 2. You ever feel like you've already lived the worst of a story, only to realize the ground you're standing on is still sinking? Yeah. Strap in. So after I filed the fraud counterclaim and my lawyer sent Derek and my wife, now ex-wife, paperwork pending, a cease and desist, things went eerily quiet. No more emails. No court dates set yet. Just radio silence. Then 3 days ago, there was a knock on my temporary apartment door. I almost didn't answer, but something told me to check the peephole. A woman in her 60s, standing stiff as a board, holding a manila folder like it was made of glass. She looked familiar. Not in a friend of the family kind of way. More like a faded photograph you can't quite place. I opened the door halfway. Can I help you? She gave me this tight-lipped smile. You don't know me, she said. But I knew your mother. Intimately. My stomach twisted. She introduced herself as Margot, and handed me the folder without another word. Inside, 3 things. A notarized statement. An old photograph, grainy 80s style, of my mom very pregnant with 2 newborns. A sealed DNA test. Your mother and I were together for 6 years. Back when being open about that could ruin your life, she said, voice trembling but steady. She got pregnant through a donor. Not the way you're thinking. It was informal, 2 different men. She wanted children with diverse traits, she said. Artists and intellects. My heart thudded in my chest. She looked me in the eye. You and Derek, you're only half-brothers. I sat down hard. She continued. She raised you both together. Never told either of you. But I think Derek always suspected. He was her firstborn. You were the surprise. My mind was spinning. I opened the DNA results. 99% certainty. Margot is my biological mother. That letter she gave me, dated 6 months before my mom passed. It explained everything. How she and Margot agreed to never reveal the truth unless it became absolutely necessary. And how, in her final months, she feared Derek was going to erase me from the family completely. And now it all made sense. Why Mom changed her will. Why she left the house to me, not Derek. Why Derek had this panic-fueled need to secure it, to claim it publicly, quickly. Why he was willing to manipulate, lie, and weaponize my own wife. Because if the truth ever came out, he'd lose everything. He's not even legally entitled to half of what he tried to claim. But here's the kicker. The house? It wasn't just some sentimental family home. Mom and Margot had co-owned the land before she transferred it entirely to herself after Margot moved abroad in the 90s. There was a paper trail. Margot still had copies of the original deeds. She smiled when I told her I'd already sold it. I don't want the land, she said softly. I just wanted to give you the truth. Then she handed me one more envelope before she left. A letter from Mom, dated 3 days before she passed. If you're reading this, then Margot kept her promise. I'm sorry I never told you. It wasn't shame, it was fear. I saw how Derek looked at you when you succeeded. Like he needed to tear you down to stay standing. You have her fire, my heart, and more strength than you know. Don't let him rewrite you. You are not what he says. You were the reason I started painting again. I cried for the first time since the funeral. The aftermath? We've amended the fraud case. Derek's claim now stands on thinner legal ground than ever. My lawyer reached out to Derek's attorney with the DNA evidence. He responded with a single line. My client withdraws all claims. The divorce process moved fast. Once the fraud evidence was submitted, my lawyer filed on grounds of financial deception and emotional manipulation. She didn't contest it, probably hoping to avoid more dirt becoming public. I'm letting her rot in her own silence. I haven't responded to her. I made a mistake emails. She has no idea why the court filing vanished. I hope that eats her alive. But I'm not even angry anymore. For the first time in my life, I feel like I know who I am. Not just the spare. Not the second thought. I'm the son of 2 women who survived in silence, who created a life from love and fear and hope. And now I'm the man who reclaimed that legacy. Edit. Yes, I'm in touch with Margot. We had dinner last night. She brought me a painting Mom made in the 90s. It's of 2 boys, holding hands, surrounded by trees. Yes, I plan to build again. Just not there. That ground has been burned and blessed. I'll start something new somewhere new. And no, I still haven't spoken to Derek. But I did leave a single message on his voicemail. Turns out you weren't just wrong about the house. You were wrong about me. Update 3. 3 days after I met Margot, my biological mother, I received a package. No return address. Just my name written in careful, almost delicate script. Inside, a flash drive, a printed note, and a single photograph. The note was short. He did worse than lie about the will. Watch the videos. You deserve to know what really happened in that house. A friend of your mother. My hands were shaking when I plugged the drive into my laptop. There were 6 video files, all dated within the last 18 months of my mother's life. Grainy footage. Angle. High. Tilted. Like a camera hidden in the corner of a bookshelf. Audio crackly but clear enough. It took me less than 2 seconds to realize what I was watching. My mother's living room. She'd installed a hidden camera. Probably never told a soul. Video 1. Derek walks in confident. He doesn't knock. My mom is seated in her chair, small under a blanket. He's already talking before the door even shuts. I need you to move the rest of the funds. Okay? That trust account isn't protected like you think. She says no. He laughs. You really want to leave the house to Eli? He'll just sell it to pay off some studio debt or run away again. He doesn't understand legacy. She tells him it's her decision. And you're old? Derek snaps. You forget things. If you want this to stay private, you'll do what I say. Video 2. He brings my ex-wife. I had no idea they ever visited her together. But there she is, sitting on the same couch where I opened birthday gifts as a kid, sipping tea like she belongs. He doesn't need to know we're involved, she says softly. If we play this right, he'll sign the house over within the month. My mother doesn't say much. Her eyes don't leave them once. At the end of the video, she whispers, "You both disgust me." Video 3 to 5. Variations of the same play. Financial manipulation. Guilt-tripping. Derek coaching her on how to phase Eli out of the estate. My ex smiling politely, asking probing questions about my mental health. She never budges, but you can see it wearing her down. The hesitation in her voice. The fatigue in her face. Video 6. This one was different. Just my mom, alone. She walks to the camera, leans down so her face fills the frame, and she says, "Eli, if you're watching this, they've probably tried to take everything. But you need to understand something, this isn't about a house. It never was. Derek's been like this since he was a teenager. Controlling, charming in public, cruel in private. He hated that you were kind, that you could feel things deeply, that people trusted you. I was scared of him, Eli. I was afraid of what he'd do if I stood up to him. But I'm not anymore. The house is yours. The will is yours. The truth is yours. And if he ever tries to tell you that you imagined it all, send him this." She stares into the lens for 5 more seconds, then reaches out and shuts it off. I sat there for hours, just breathing, trying not to lose it. The next day, I gave the footage to my lawyer, and we sent Derek one final message. "This is your cease and desist. If you ever contact me again, we go public. We send the videos to every single person you've ever tried to impress. You were never the victim. You were the storm." We never heard from him again. Where I am now, the house is gone. The land sold. The money is being put into something real. A non-profit art residency in my mom's name. A place where people who feel like outsiders can create without fear. It opens next year. I've reconnected with Margot. She's calm, fierce. We're taking it slow. I'm learning things about my mom I never knew, like how she used to write poetry no one ever saw. My ex-wife moved back to her hometown. I hear she's dating a dentist. Hope he flosses. Derek? Last I checked, he filed for bankruptcy. Guess playing mastermind doesn't pay like it used to. And me? I'm at peace. That house was never home. Not really. But the truth? The real, raw, painful truth? That's mine now. I carry it like armor. Because in the end, Derek was right about one thing. Legacy matters. Just not the way he thought. Edit. To everyone who followed this story, thank you. Your messages reminded me I'm not alone. That healing isn't linear. That sometimes, the people who try to bury you forget you're a seed. This is the last I'll say on it. I'm not looking back anymore. Only forward.